Recently, someone asked me to discuss double bass technique, and now I'm finally getting around to it. In this video, we'll briefly discuss gear setup, and then 4 different double bass techniques, and the pros / cons of each one. First off, we'll talk about the seat height. In my opinion, I think that should be roughly around 2 feet off of the ground, plus or minus, an inch or 2. I'm a little bit taller guy, so my height there is a little bit more than 2 feet. So what that gives you is a little bit less than a 90-degree angle at your knees, which is what you want for the best ergonomics and comfort. Moving on to the pedals, you can see I'm using Axis longboards with the AL2 cam. I've used these for many years with great results. The thing I get asked about the most is the V-Ruck pedal enhancer. This item primarily does 2 things. The first thing is that it provides a nice gripping surface right here, which is a urethane rubber type material. What's great about that is it allows you to use almost any type of shoe that you would like on the pedal and still be able to find a good balance between grip and the ability to slide on the pedal. So, for example, if you're touring in the winter and it's snowing outside and the footwear you would like to wear would be, some waterproof hiking boots, lightweight hikers, you could do that. Or, you could wear like some trail runners like I have on right now. That's my typical drumming shoe. So instead of having to search around for that special pair of shoes with the right kind of sole that allows you to get that grip and slide balance, this takes care of that, so you don't have to go searching for, the ideal pair of shoes. And then the second benefit is the heel extension here, which it makes the whole pedal longer. And there's also a hinge right here, so this part can move a little bit. It doesn't do anything for you. It doesn't create an extra note or anything like that. It simply helps you index the pedal at your heel. So if you got longer, wider feet, these things are great for that. And whether you're doing heel down, heel up, swivel, or doubles, the V-Ruck gives you that really nice index point so that you can really drive the maximum amount of momentum and velocity into the pedals. So you can install these on any pedal simply with 2 screws, and then there's a threaded bracket that goes underneath the pedal board, so you can adjust these however you like on the pedal. Why these aren't made anymore and why they're not more common is beyond me. I really think these could benefit a lot more drummers. So side note, if someone owns a machine shop and is into drums and they would like to collaborate on producing an item similar to this, hit me up. I would really like to see that happen, although I'm sure there'd be some hurdles to overcome with production. Anyway, moving on to the techniques themselves. The first one would be heel down technique. In this one, the entire foot is interfacing with the pedal, and then the front part of the foot / the toes press down to create the notes. This is primarily used in jazz music because you can do some nice soft dynamics with it. That's the main benefit. So it's not often you see this used in metal music. Because you're just limited on the amount of volume and speed you could get with it. So that's the con. But this is applicable to metal drumming on, for example, the hi-hat pedal. It makes a lot of sense there for opening the hi-hat. Moving on to heel up technique. With this one, the ball of the foot is interfacing with the pedal board. So you lift your heels up, and then from there, the back calf and your heel just drops down to make the note. So because of that additional momentum and weight going into the pedal, you can get a lot more power. And this technique was used from the earliest double bass songs up to the present day. Back in the late 70s, you had bands like Motorhead, featuring this kind of thing with, stuff like that, or Dave Lombardo with Slayer. I even started swiveling a little bit there, but so with that technique, you can get incredible power, additional speed over the heel down. But the main drawback would be, running into speed barriers. When there's, no additional motion, it can be hard to control the pedals and push to, extreme BPMs. Although, that being said, lots of drummers are doing exactly that, creating some incredibly fast double bass without swiveling at all. So, an underlying theme throughout this whole video is find what works best for you and work on it a lot, and your body will adapt. The next technique is the swivel motion. This is my main technique that I've used for many years. With this one, it's still a heel up motion, so I lift my heel up, and you'll notice that the beater distance drops by about half. And then from there, I apply a little bit of pressure and then move my heel side to side to create the notes. So my ball of the foot is always contacting the pedal, then I'm primarily swiveling my ankle to make the notes. And the key with this is you want your hips and your knees, basically the whole entire leg, to be as loose as possible. And what this allows you to do is prevent unnecessary tension and eliminate or greatly reduce the chance of injury. I've been doing this technique for almost 20 years, and I have not had any real knee problems, thankfully. Some people say that, this is an unnatural motion, and I disagree with that. Anytime you're doing any kind of athletic sidestepping motion, that sort of is very similar to the swivel motion. Is it exactly the same? Of course not. But I don't think it's an unnatural motion. And when it's done without the tension in your hips and your knees, it really feels almost effortless. So the pros of this technique are speed and power. I mean, you could go pretty fast. 300 BPM plus. I'll do a quick little speed run. I'm not sure how fast this will be. Somewhere around 250. And I'm not even really all that warmed up. So with this technique, great speed, great power. It can be a little easier to set up your triggers and your module settings with this because it's just a single stroke. The bass drum heads and whatnot don't have to be tweaked just perfectly to play this. It works pretty well on almost any setup as long as you got springs that you can increase the tension, to a reasonable level. So the cons, I guess you could say, it is an unnatural motion for some people. Some people do have to train this technique. I never had to do that. This motion, believe it or not, came naturally to me. I never actually sat down and spent significant time, training each foot to go, I never really did that. It just happened for me over time. So if you do find you have to train yourself to do this motion, I would proceed with caution, because forcing yourself to do that may induce that leg and hip knee tension I just talked about into it, and that could cause some injury or discomfort. So that's really the main con, is that it's just not natural for some drummers. The other con is that it can be kind of difficult to get exactly perfect note spacing. And then it can also be pretty difficult to put exactly the right number of notes into the bar at very high tempos. It's pretty common to hear drummers drop, one or two notes at the start or the end of a bar when they're playing, 240, 250 and up. And most people wouldn't even notice that because it's so fast to begin with. But that can be challenging to get, extreme accuracy with this motion. But that's something I'm always working on. So moving on to the heel toe double stroke. That technique is not something I use very much. I'm still learning this one, so bear with me. But with this one, the heel drops down and then the ball of the foot creates the second note. Some people do it further back on the pedal where it's more of like a ball toe motion. I haven't quite figured that one out yet. So I use this in limited applications. One thing I like it for is groups of like 3 notes. I think it sounds cool done like that, compared to doing like a gallop where it's all single notes. You can play it a little faster with the double on the right and the single on the left than you could when it's all single strokes. So there's some cool rhythms you can create that way. But with the double stroke roll, the main benefit to this is there's incredible speed potential with it. There's some guys out there that are incredibly good at this technique, and they're pushing 300, 320 BPM, maybe even more than that, which is insane. So you could get this incredible speed, and then you also get a really nice, smooth sound. Similar to what you get when you play a double stroke roll on a snare drum. The double stroke roll is often called the even roll, because that motion just creates this nice, smooth roll. So when you're really good at doing that on the footwork, it can really make your double bass sound tight and clean. And I also think it's a little bit easier to stop and start the bars, as I was talking about with the swivel technique. So those are definitely the main benefits to that motion. The cons of the double stroke roll, I think, are related to the gear setup primarily. You may find that you got to tweak your pedal settings a little bit more, and then also the trigger settings, the module settings, how the bass drum heads are set up, what kind of muffling is in there. You may have to spend more time dialing all that in order to get the correct sound of the double strokes. So I think that is a con of the double stroke roll. Can you make it work? Absolutely. Tons of people do, and they get great results with it. I think it's just a little less forgiving than the swivel technique. So that pretty much covers it all. If anyone has any questions, feel free to hit me up in the comments. And I hope this was useful. And yeah, get out there and grind.